Episode 1 of 5. How One Friend Request Changed Everything. Now what? Have you ever hit accept on a friend request, knowing it might change everything? This was one of those moments. When I saw Livet's Facebook friend request, I froze. His profile wasn't loud, but the quiet confidence hit harder than any flex. And that low-cut hairline? Yeah, I wasn't ready. For a moment, it felt like the world hit pause, and all I could do was feel. His profile picture wasn't loud, but it whispered confidence. The kind that's more powerful because it's quiet. Shirtless, sun-kissed skin glowing like he belonged on some private beach, not on my timeline. He wasn't flexing, yet every muscle, every angle spoke volumes. Listening. What is it about certain people that make your heart skip a beat before your brain catches up? The pictures didn't scream for attention. They pulled you in slow, like a song you can't stop humming. There he was, rocking low-rise sweatpants that sat just right on his hips, showing off that dangerous V-line. No belt, no peak of boxers, just smooth, uninterrupted skin trailing beneath the waistband. How do you explain the feeling of being drawn to someone through a screen? His vibe reached through the pixels and pulled me in. His stance was so natural, so effortless, it made you wonder. What kind of man looks this good without even trying? It wasn't just how good he looked. It was the way he made me feel seen, even from miles away. His arms? Strong but not bulky, the kind that could wrap around you and hold tight, not for show, but for comfort. His skin had this bronzed, golden undertone that told you he didn't just tan. He under the sun. I could already imagine what it would feel like under my fingertips. Soft, yet firm, inviting touch without a word. Have you ever wanted to know someone's scent? Just to see if it matches the vibe they give off? His haircut? Low, sharp, a perfect fade like it was cut fresh every day. I could already feel myself running my fingers along those lines. The texture soft but precise. His V-lines made my mind wander, and suddenly, curiosity wasn't just curiosity anymore. It was craving. And those eyes, half smirk, half mystery, like they knew something I didn't but wanted me to figure it out. The more I scrolled, the deeper I sank into the images. I hadn't even met him, but somehow I knew. This was going to be a slow burn, not a quick fling. Whether on a couch, a rooftop, or lost in mid-laugh at some dark bar, Livet's pictures weren't just photos. They were invitations. You didn't just look, you imagined. What if this isn't just a passing thought, but a connection waiting to happen? There are men you want and men you need. Livet felt like both, wrapped up in a dangerous, calming package. My mind drifted to what it would feel like. His body pressed against mine, warm and steady. His chest rising and falling with each breath, muscles tight but relaxed, as if they were designed to fit perfectly against me. His broad shoulders, a silent promise. I've got you, and I'm not letting go. Do you ever get that feeling? That if someone held you just right, you'd never need to leave? His V-line, that teasing dip just above his waistband, would brush against me with the kind of pressure that makes you lose yourself. I could feel my hands tracing the sharp edge of his fade, memorizing every inch, knowing it was made for moments like this. I imagined what it would be like if our bodies collided, not rushed, but deliberate. The kind of closeness that lingers. His touch, firm but gentle, slow and intentional, as if time didn't matter when it came to us. Our bodies would move in sync, a rhythm we didn't have to find. It was already there, waiting. The heat between us would build, every shift of his hips a silent conversation. I see you. I feel you. We belong here. His hands, big, capable, and sure, would explore like they had all the time in the world. Not rushing, just knowing. And when he looked at me with that quiet confidence, I'd know. I was exactly where I was supposed to be. His laugh, his scent, His quiet confidence, I could almost feel it through the screen. What would happen if we met? What if this wasn't just physical? What if the way his skin felt on mine, the way his breath matched mine, was more than just the thrill of the moment? His lips would find mine, soft but commanding, the kind of kiss that says, "We've got forever, but let's savor right now." Our bodies, slick with heat and need, would melt into each other. His presence would ground me, even as it made me feel weightless. Every movement, every touch, would spark something deeper, a connection not just of bodies, but of souls. His strength would anchor me, his warmth wrapping around me like home. And in that moment, I'd know. What if this wasn't just a night, but the beginning of something real? Sometimes it's not just attraction, it's intuition. My heart whispered, "This is different." You take the chance, you hit, and maybe, just maybe, you find forever. Scrolling through his photos was like falling, slow and sweet, with no need to hit the brakes. FB love, when a friend request feels like fate. When Livet's friend request slid into my notifications, I swear my heart skipped a beat. What happens when a stranger feels like home before you've even said hello? His profile picture wasn't trying too hard, but it didn't need to. The man had a kind of quiet confidence that hit different. You could tell he wasn't chasing validation. Shirtless, sun-drenched, and glowing like summer had claimed his skin. His chest wasn't overdone, just broad enough to make you wonder what it feels like to lean into. And those low-slung sweatpants, sitting perfectly on his hips, as if gravity itself had a crush. No belt, no peeking boxers, just his body, taut, lean muscle with those dangerous V-lines making a subtle invitation to places your mind shouldn't wander, but did anyway. I kept telling myself it's just a friend request. But why did it feel like more than that? It wasn't just his body that pulled me in, though. His vibe carried something deeper. His photos were effortless, like he didn't even realize how magnetic he was. One shot had him mid-laugh, perched casually in some dim bar, like life just bent toward him naturally. Another? That low-cut hairline, freshly edged, almost daring you to trace your fingertips along it. His arms, lean but powerful, looked like they could pick you up and make you feel small in the best way. Those lips? Just right. Not too full, not too thin. Perfectly framed for unspoken promises. Every photo, every angle, whispered the same thing. And here's the twist. His energy wasn't just sexy. It was calming. Like even if the world was on fire, you'd feel safe if you were wrapped up in him. Now this wasn't just a scroll past situation. No. His friend request was a dare wrapped in desire. My thumb hovered over accept longer than it should have. My mind raced. We haven't even spoken, but I could already imagine his hands. Strong, steady, leaving imprints I'd never forget. I imagined it without meaning to. His chest pressed against mine, the warmth of his skin making everything else melt away. That V-line brushing up against me just enough to send sparks where they had no business being. His hands, strong, steady, with just the right amount of pressure, would explore like they had all the time in the world, mapping every inch of me as if he planned to return over and over again. His breath would be hot against my neck, grounding me in ways I didn't know I needed. His scent, clean, masculine, with that edge of something addictive, would fill the air between us, making it hard to think of anything but him. And when his lips found mine, soft, deliberate, every kiss sang. His vibe was simple but dangerous, the kind that makes you forget the rules and dive in head first. It was more than just physical attraction. It was emotional alchemy, a dopamine high wrapped in oxytocin, the kind that makes your brain light up with thoughts of and with every imagined touch. The thought took root. And when his hands roamed over my back, gripping just tight enough to promise that I wasn't going anywhere, My heart whispered what my brain couldn't ignore. What if the connection you've been waiting for comes from someone you've never even met? The way his body would move, deliberate, patient, like he knew exactly how to drive me crazy without rushing a single second. Felt like a promise of things unspoken. The rhythm of us together wouldn't just be about pleasure. It'd be about presence. Every kiss, every touch, every movement would say. Endorphins would flood through me with every kiss he stole and every look he gave. His eyes would hold mine with something more than lust, empathy, warmth, maybe even a glimpse of what it feels like to be understood without words. Every fantasy has a spark, but this one? It was starting to feel like more than just a fleeting daydream. And suddenly, it wasn't just about how good he looked or how smooth his energy felt. It was about something deeper, a craving for connection. Not the kind that fades with the night, but the kind that lingers in the morning light. The kind that wraps around you and whispers. If chemistry could spark through a phone, this was it. But could something this good be real? I hit. Not because of the heat, not just because of the chemistry, but because sometimes the right energy finds you at the perfect time. Sometimes a stranger on FB becomes the reason your heart feels alive again. And just maybe, this is the beginning of something that lasts. Because love, real love, starts with curiosity, builds on connection, and ends with the kind of comfort that feels like forever. I hit accept, not knowing what would come next, but certain that whatever it was, I wanted to live it. And if this story was going where I hoped, it'd be more than just a dopamine high. It'd be a journey through every beautiful emotion the heart can hold. And maybe, just maybe, Live It wasn't just a name. It was exactly what this story was meant to be. I accepted his request and waited. Wait, until I tell you what happened next in episode 2 of 5.